The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
for anybody to hand this out. We're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in this country.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave Tenza, Chair of the Nashua Democratic City Committee. We're continuing our series with our candidates of state representatives from here in Nashua, and we're very fortunate to be joined by the ladies of Ward 2 here in Nashua. We have Suzanne Harvey, Sue Newman, and Gloria Timmons. Welcome all. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
As you all know, this is your opportunity to introduce yourselves to the voters of Ward 2. Tell them a little bit about if you've served before, what your experience is, why you're running, and what you hope to work on if elected. So we're going to start with Suzanne Harvey. Suzanne, you're kind of the dean of this delegation on stage here, so we'll start with you. If you could tell the voters a little bit about yourself, your past political experience, and what you enjoy working on in Concord.
Okay, thank you. Suzanne Harvey, Ward 2, and I am running for my 5th term. So I've served 8 years up in Concord at the State House and the House. And most of that time I've been on the Science, Technology, and Energy Committee. So that follows my big interest in renewable energy and making sure we get less and less dependent on fossil fuels and help our environment. So those are very important to me. And I'd like to stay on that committee, so I hope the voters will send me back. In addition, the things that I've done over the last couple of terms, some of the things I've been very proud of is I was the prime sponsor of the first bill for New Hampshire, the first law that made human trafficking a felony. And we worked very hard on that. I was the chairperson of the commission in the legislature that studied human trafficking, and out of that came the bill that ultimately became law. And now, the message that goes out to traffickers is you're not welcome in New Hampshire. And if you come here and try to traffic, you get caught, you'll be convicted as a felon. So I'm very proud of that. And then on the energy side, I was the prime sponsor of something called the Renewable Portfolio Standard, which over time mandates that we have more and more renewable energy, whether it's wind, solar, biomass, whatever. And I think that is good for everybody in our state. So those are some of the major issues I've worked on. Going forward for the next session, I hope to be a part of it because one of the things we have that's coming up that's very important is to make permanent the Medicaid expansion. We've got 50,000 Granite Staters who are currently on Medicaid expansion, and if that falls apart, they'll have nothing. And we can't do that. And we can't do that. We can't have people going to the emergency room again the way they used to. So people need coverage, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, that is beginning to be a common theme here with a lot of the candidates that getting up there to help make Medicaid expansion permanent. Seems really important to people, and it seems like when folks are out there talking with voters, it's an issue that voters bring up as well. So hopefully you'll get back up to Concord to help get that done. And thank you for being here. Next we have Sue Newman. Sue, you have served before in the city of Nashua.
In the city of Nashua, right. We moved here from Northern Virginia. I'm originally from upstate Western New York, but we moved here in 1981 from Northern Virginia, and we've been at the same address on Charlotte Avenue for the past 35 years. Shortly after I got to Nashua, I got involved with what was then the Nashua Kindergarten Coalition. So I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have kindergarten in Nashua in our public schools. It had been here previously, was dropped for financial reasons for a long period of time. And due to our efforts and Mayor Donchis and a whole lot of people being supportive, we got kindergarten back in Nashua. After that, I went on and I was elected to be a selectman in Ward 2, which let me work at the polls. That was real interesting, and they were long hours, but after that it was like, it'll be easier to be a PTO president, so I did that. And then after being a Charlotte Avenue PTO president, I ran for the Board of Education, and I ran citywide and was elected twice, so I served 8 years on the Board of Education. After that, it seems like I just kicked back and did nothing, but I was a realtor in the area for just over 24 years. I'm now retired, and in the meantime, I think I've worked on everybody's campaign as a volunteer in some capacity, walking the areas, knocking on doors, and so forth. This seemed like a good opportunity. I'm at a right age to do this. I'm still walking above the ground, so I thought I can do this here. My interests would include getting commuter rail expanded, so it's coming up from Lowell to Nashua, ultimately to Manchester Airport, and then beyond. Treatment, funding, and education for opioid and substance abuse. That would be intervention and treatment. Support for our public schools in Nashua, as well as supporting adult learning opportunities for for people that for whatever reason can't be going to the public schools or had to drop out early. I'd certainly be supportive of the Medicaid expansion, feeling strongly, like Suzanne does, that you just can't have people uninsured. I'm also a member of the Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, so I also believe that the Second Amendment and common sense firearm regulations can coexist. So those would be my areas of interest.
And with everything else you do, you have some free time to visit your grandkids and a decent golfer too, from what I understand.
The golf game, I maintain a golf handicap, but that's a reason to also keep a good sense of humor. So those are good things. We have 6 grandchildren, 3 in New Hampshire and 2 in North Carolina and 1 in South Florida, and I do play golf, and the sense of humor again is good for the golf game.
Great. Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Today. And lastly, we have Gloria Timmons, and Gloria, I believe this is your first time running for office.
Yes, this is my first time running.
And so, why did you decide that now was the right time to run for state representative?
I believe the time is right now is because, one, I did a lot of things. I'm a veteran, disabled veteran, and at that, I worked at Veteran Services for the Department of Employment Security prior to being the assistant director. So during the time I was working with the Veteran Services, I realized that they had a lot of work that needed done. A lot of them was homeless. A lot of them needed affordable housing. A lot of them were in crisis. And a lot of them came from Afghanistan with illnesses and stuff like that. So I work with a lot of veterans. Also was the past commander of the Disabled American Veteran. And then I started the first NAACP in Greater Nashua. So that helped me understand a lot of things here in Nashua as well. And also, I'm also a member of the Nashua Community Conversation on Race and Justice. So I've been working with a lot of people from the outside in. So the only way I can change anything is work from the inside out. So I think this is a great time right now to jump into the race.
Yeah, that is a quite a history of service to the community and to the country. And so, what have you found? Have you found anything surprised you about running for office for the first time?
I thought I knew a lot of people here in Nashua because I've been here 26 years, and I do have 16 grandchildren, and they seem to know everyone. I thought I knew everyone, but I didn't. But when I started canvassing, I realized there's a lot of people here that I didn't know. So I started canvassing and meeting a lot of people that I didn't know before. So that helped me understand a lot of their angst and problems. So yeah, that's why I'm a little nervous. So
It's okay.
this is my first time
yeah,
doing this. So
first
yes.
time on TV. Well, you're doing a great job. Doing a great job. And you're an Army veteran?
Yes, I served in the Army 22 years.
Oh, wow.
And also I used to work for Colin Powell. Went into the military as a combat support air defense artillery. Matter of fact, I was one of the first females in air defense artillery. And after that, I changed MOSs, which is military occupational specialty, and went into administration. That's how I met Colin Powell and those people, General Waller, and I'm also a Desert Storm veteran, Cold War veteran at that. So veteran services is a big deal for me. So
yeah, as it should be, as it should be for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done, your service, and you know, everything. Is there any issues in particular?
Homelessness.
Okay.
Homelessness in the veteran services, opioid problems, mental health problems, sexual harassment problems. When I was in the military, I was sexually harassed. So I know it's a big deal in the military. It was a quiet thing at one time. People didn't want to talk about it, but most women, I'm willing to say this on record, was sexually harassed some kind of way. So, and they still have issues.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I wanted to do. Also, because I have all these granddaughters, which is 8 of them, Planned Parenthood is a big thing with me as well. So I want to make sure that we keep Planned Parenthood and not defund it as our opponents would like to do.
Sure, and that's a hot button issue, and an issue that certainly the other side runs on it every time to try to rally the supporters.
Right,
so,
right.
Well, thank you for being here today with us, and thank you for stepping up to run for this important office. So these are short segments that we're doing here, but we want to give each of you a minute before we end, just to address voters, tell them if there's any way that they can get more information about you or get in contact with you, and make a pitch as to why they should vote for you. So we'll start with Suzanne again.
Okay, thanks. First, I'd like to tell the voters of Ward 2 that we have the strongest team here that I have ever run with in my 5 terms of 5 campaigns. And I hope you will consider all of us. I want to tell you that elections matter. Who's in the State House voting matters. And if you care about the issues we've talked about, I hope that you will go down, start at the bottom of the ballot and work yourself up on Election Day, because too many people don't vote at the bottom of the ballot, and we may end up with people who really may not have the same interests as you do when they serve. So I hope you'll give us all a chance.
Thanks, Suzanne. Sue?
Thanks. I would echo Suzanne's good words, and the only thing I can add is that going door to door and meeting and talking with so many of the voters in Ward 2 has been a pleasure. I have met some of the nicest, some of the funniest people, people that have worked hard all their lives, people that are grandparents like ourselves, and they'd like to move the state a little bit forward. So I would say that, and echoing Suzanne's words to go down the ballot. I put this together real quick. Again, my name is Sue Newman, Ward 2. I respectfully ask for your support and your vote. People probably know where I live at 25 Charlotte Avenue. It's the yard with a zillion signs in it right now. Feel free to stop, or you can send me an email at snewmannh@AOL. But here's what I'm going to close with. So when you go to vote, go with a smile and not a frown. Look at that ballot, proceed with care, and then be sure to go all the way down. That's where you'll find us. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Okay. I'd like to say to my listeners, one, I think you should vote for me. Not vote, yeah, vote for me, because one, I do care about veteran issues. I also care about Planned Parenthood. I also care about commuter rail, because I have 16 kids, a lot of them teenagers, 16 grandkids, and a lot of them teenagers, and they have nowhere to go, no place to do it, and can't travel from A to B because they can't get there. So we need to have commuter rail so we be able to get from Boston until at least up until Nashua, so we can have things other than what we have here, which is nothing for adults. So young adults don't come into this state because they say to me all the time, what's there? And I can't even tell them what's here. We really don't have the clubs. We don't have any nightlife. We don't have anything for young adults to do. So they need to come to New Hampshire, need to see what's here, need to know that we are centrally located, so you really can get to Boston pretty easily, Connecticut pretty easily, and surrounding states, and even to New York pretty easily if we have the rail services. So one of my main goals is to pass commuter rail. So I hope that you vote for me, because that's just one of my many issues. And like Sue and Sue, I hope that you vote from the bottom up and consider me as well, the new kid on the block.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. We'll say
Thank you, Dave.
Ward 2 votes at Charlotte Ave Elementary School.
Yes.
Tuesday, November 8th is the election. Polls are open from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. You can register that same day. You don't need an ID. If you don't have one, you can go in and fill out a voter affidavit and still vote. So there are no excuses. I'm going to close by echoing what everyone up here on stage has already said. Real change happens at the local level. Start at the bottom of your ballot. Vote all the way up. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
For anybody to hand this out, we're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in the 30s.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.